Greetings and welcome back. In a previous video, when I was talking about masks for the very first time, I mentioned that there were actually three types of masks, and really we've only been talking about two, being pixel masks and vector masks. However, the third one is a clipping mask. Now what a clipping mask is a way for you to take a layer and use it to control the visibility, or the transparency, if you want to look at it that way, of layers that are above that object. Now let's take a look at how this works. I'm going to start off by creating a brand new layer. And I'm going to get my paintbrush out and pick any color of the rainbow. It doesn't really matter what color, so I'm going to get a dark blue just for the fun of it. And I'm just going to paint a spot of blue right here in the middle of my canvas. Now it's important to note that this is on a layer, so everything outside that spot of blue is technically transparent. Now I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to bring in, well, it doesn't really matter which one I bring in. Let's grab the tulips picture, just to kind of mix things up a little bit, and I'll press Enter. Now I'm going to turn this tulips image into a clipping mask. I can do that in several different ways. I can right-click on the layer itself and choose Create Clipping Mask. If I undo that, we can go under Layer and choose Create Clipping Mask. Alternatively, we can hit Control-Alt-G if we want. And finally, there's kind of a secret way to do it. If you hold down the Alt key, you can click right here on the seam in between the tulips and layer 1, and that turns tulips into a clipping mask. Now take a look at what happens in the layer panel. Our base layer, meaning the layer from which we are pulling our transparency, becomes underlined, and every layer that is utilizing the transparency of our base layer gets indented a little bit and gets this little arrow pointing back down to it. And you can see the end result in terms of what's happening here. Our tulips layer is using the transparency of layer 1 as its base of transparency as well. So as I move the tulips around, it's using where that little blotch of paint was to control its visibility. Now I can add multiple layers to this clipping mask. So for instance, I can create a brand new layer, and this layer is just kind of sitting here all on its lonesome. I can put this right in between the two, and you'll notice it becomes part of the clipping mask as well. I can move it back up top, and it's going to remain part of the clipping mask until I hold down the Alt key and break it off. But I'll go ahead and leave it attached for now, and if I want to, I can grab the paintbrush tool, and let's just pick a new color, let's say red, and I can paint the top and the bottom red, and notice that my paint strokes, even though I'm painting to both sides of the canvas, are still being constrained by that clipping mask. If I was to Alt-click on the seam in between the two, we break that off, and you can see that we are painting these great big wide strokes. So again, a clipping mask is just a way for you to control the transparency of a layer using the transparency of a layer underneath that. And you can have as many of these stacked on here as you want to. I guess just for to drive the whole thing home one more time, I'll place one more image. This time we'll use the koala's head. I'll press Enter, and I'll make this a clipping mask as well. And there you go. So we have this entire stack of layers all paying attention to this one single base layer. So that is going to wrap things up for this quick demonstration of clipping masks. Thank you very much.